Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Garden of Sports. We're your hosts, Zach Gardner and Jake Gardner.
Hello, hello.
And what a crazy week it was in the NHL. Games are no longer being postponed, and the schedule's back in full swing right now. So we're going to break down all the action for you with surprises of the week and top storylines. We're also going to discuss some injury news. Then we're going to break into preparation for next week and the coming weeks with buy low and sell high trade targets. Unless your draft is like absolutely perfect, and let's be real, it wasn't. Trades are an important part of the fantasy season, and we do our best to bring you good guys to target and guys to move off of with these segments. And of course, we're going to wrap things up with Scoop 'em Up. So we hope you enjoy this week's hockey episode. So, Jake, let's dive in.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go.
All right, so surprises of the week. Definitely my top surprise, Chris Kreider just going off. In our league, he was the leading scorer this week with 33 fantasy points. He scored 5 goals and 2 assists and 3 power play points. The dude helped you win this week for sure. So we're going to be talking about him more later in the episode, but yeah, Chris Kreider. I'm never been a believer in him, but you can't deny that he's having a hell of a season so far.
You know who else you're not a believer in?
Who's that?
Devin Taves, who's just going off another week in a row. Holy crap.
Yeah, he's okay.
Frickin' beast.
And then also Tony DeAngelo going off. He was the second leading scorer this week with 32 fantasy points. He scored 1 goal and 6 assists and 4 power play points. That's the eye-opening number. I mean, Tony DeAngelo, he's a power play defenseman for sure. So, I mean, he's just, ever since he came back from COVID protocol, he's looking fantastic. And he's having a crazy bounce back year. So people predicted that he would do good because people were guessing that he would be the number 1 power play D-man. But it was, we didn't know for sure if he was going to bounce back, like he's looking even better than he looked like 2 years ago with his breakout season. And he's looking like the sleeper pick of the whole draft so far this season.
Yeah, jeez.
And then another surprise, Mike Matheson, a defenseman on Pittsburgh, went off this week with 6 points in 3 games. He looks like a great streaming option right now. We're going to talk about him later. And then my last surprise, Erasmus Dahlin just went off this week. He scored 6 points in 4 games. He's finally starting to look like the top D-man that Buffalo thought they were drafting a few years ago when they used the number 1 pick on him. He's finally starting to look worth it this season. This is like his first breakout season. He's already been in the league like 4 years. And people have been calling him kind of a bit of a bust the last couple seasons. But this season looks like his big breakout. So he might be a young up-and-coming D-man that we're going to be talking about for years to come. He's looking great this year.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so that's all my surprises. We'll move right on over to storylines. So the biggest one that was the biggest storyline this week, I can't remember what day, like Tuesday or Wednesday, the NHL announced dates that they're going to make up all the postponed games. And if you recall, with all these NHL postponing a bunch of games over the last like month or two, there's like 95 games that they've postponed over the last 2 months, and they're gonna make all 95 games up in like a 3.5 week period coming up here in February. Mm-hmm. So this is crazy sounding, but in theory it should perfectly work if we're kind of over the whole COVID stuff. So as we know, the NHL a few weeks ago, about a month ago, pulled out of the Winter Olympics this year. So instead of a month-long break in the season like they were going to do because of the Olympics, they're just going to play all the postponed games during that time right before the All-Star break. So I'm going to go to an article here from NHL.com. The NHL will play 95 games from February 7th through the 22nd as part of a comprehensive update to the 21-22 regular season schedule announced Wednesday. The update would allow all 32 teams to complete their 82-game schedule by the season's original end date of April 29th. So the 3-week window in February was previously designated as a pause in the season to accommodate NHL player participation in the Olympics. So as of Wednesday, 104 games have been postponed. They're going to make up 95 in this 3.5-week period. The updated
Jesus.
schedule includes new dates for 98 games postponed over the 2-month period, and date changes to 23 other games to accommodate the new dates for postponed games. So they're going to fit all these in right before the All-Star break in a 3.5-week period. So be ready with your fantasy teams for a bunch of games to be played in February. So that's kind of good news. Hopefully we're over this whole COVID stuff, and I think it worked out perfectly for the NHL that there was already a month-long bit of the season already taken out, and I think they made the right choice not going to the Olympics, and it's the perfect opportunity for them to make up all these games. Otherwise, the season would probably be going into the end of May, pushing back the playoffs and everything, and that would honestly be a lot harder to accommodate than how it ended up working out. So hopefully it works out and there's no more further craziness.
Hell yeah.
And then we'll move on to another storyline I got here. So Florida, looking like the team to beat in the NHL. Do you think they can go all the way?
Do I think so?
Yeah, what do you think?
As a NHL expert myself, no.
They're tied right now for the most points in the league with Tampa Bay. So those are the teams with the two highest point total for making the playoffs. They have the best goal differential in the league, plus 50. So that means they've scored 50 more goals than they've given up. So that means their offense has been great. They've scored the most goals in the whole league as a team. And they've also given up close to the fewest there. So that means their offense has been great and their defense and goaltending has been great. It's all working together. They're on a 8-1-1, 8 wins, 1 loss, 1 overtime loss streak their last 10 games. They're just looking solid. They're rolling. They got 4 scoring lines to roll out there. It's all working for them right now. And they got a great defensive group. They're just a unit right now.
I think we're missing a key piece here in your story.
Yeah.
Who were the Lightning missing for 2 months, 3 months?
Oh yeah, I mean they were missing their best player.
Yeah, so I think they got to get through them. I don't think I believe it until then.
Yeah, but I mean right now you can't deny that they're looking very solid.
Good regular season teams, right?
Yeah, but they're looking the best that they've looked in a long time, even better than last year when they were good.
Yeah, Packers look better too this year, and they're done. So
yeah, I don't know.
The championship experience, the Lightning, and having a top 3 player on that team. I mean, who's the best player in the Panthers?
Jonathan Huberdeau. Yeah, it's either Jonathan Huberdeau or Alexander Barkov. Probably Barkov.
So they're just like a pure team, right? Like a bunch of good players. It's not just one.
No, Barkov is Barkov's the top 5 center in the whole league, even fantasy wise. And Huberdeau's a top 10 winger in the fantasy leagues too. So those are their 2 best players, and then the rest of the team is just like a team. They don't have a third guy like Braden Point, on their team. And their defensive pairing, I would give defense, and I would still give defense and goaltending to Tampa Bay, but I think the offenses are comparable.
Okay. I got to go with Tampa Bay right now for me. But hey, I wanted to ask you what's up with the Oilers. They're just they have the best player in the league, but the goalies are so bad.
They're not looking like a well-oiled machine right now. That's for sure.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they're falling back in the standings, but they are this week, which is one of our next points. That's actually good that you bring Edmonton up. This is a seamless transition into my next point. They are going to be adding Evander Kane this week. That announcement's going to be, I've been hearing Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, one of those 3 days. They're going to officially announce that they signed Evander Kane. They were just waiting on the league to finish their investigation into if he was going to be suspended anymore or not. And I've been hearing a lot of leaks and rumors that from a lot of NHL insiders, multiple people that have been saying that the league didn't find anything in the investigation worth further suspension, and they're gonna announce this week that he can join the team, so they can officially announce the signing. So Evander Kane will probably be joining the Edmonton Oilers this weekend. Like if they announce it like tomorrow or Tuesday, he could probably be with them for like a Friday or Saturday game. So that's definitely going to help Edmonton. It's just kind of surprising how bad their defense and goaltending has been when their defense and goaltending was so good last year. And we're just kind of seeing how, they've had a little bit of injuries, little stuff, nothing serious, but little things that are keeping McDavid and Draisaitl out of the lineup some weeks. Not some weeks, but some games, like COVID stuff or just little minor injuries that keep them out a couple games, and they don't have near the depth to overcome one of those two guys not playing, because they basically are their offense. A lot of guys, a lot of young breakout guys haven't really broken out. Like I thought Zach Hyman was going to be a lot better for them. He's just kind of been just a role player this year.
Okay.
Jesse Puljujärvi kind of had a great start to the season, but has slowed down a lot the last month. So they just don't have that third guy. And I think Evander Kane is going to be like a little jump start for them. But yeah, I mean, Evander Kane's going to do nothing to help their defensive problems. Yeah, Evander Kane's just a scorer, and he's a physical guy, but he's not a guy that he's not like a defensive guy that's going to go out there, steal pucks and do the kind of thing that they need. So even with adding Evander Kane, that's going to help them scoring wise. But they're still going to have to, if they have championship hopes, they're going to have to go out and get, they're going to have to go out and get some defense, whether that's defensive forwards or just some defensive depth. They're going to have to shake a few things up if they seriously want to make a run. And I don't know. But Evander Kane will definitely help their offense, so maybe they're hoping they can just outscore everybody and not worry about the goaltending. But that kind of strategy is a regular season thing. That'll get you to the playoffs, but in the playoffs, if you don't have defense, it doesn't matter how much you score. It's just harder to score in the playoffs. So that's not a recipe for a Stanley Cup. So it just depends on what they can do, what other moves they can make. But Evander Kane will definitely help them at least get to the playoffs, if that's the only thing they do. So yeah, that was kind of a long way to answer your question, but
yeah, super, super long. I kind of zoned out a little bit, but it was pretty good. No, yeah, he'll help, but I don't think they're gonna make it, right? I mean,
they can. You just got to see. I'm assuming that they're gonna do good when he gets there, but if he needs any time to get acclimated, it could, they could be further down the hole by the time he starts getting going. But I mean, they could definitely go on a big win streak by adding him. And let's just say that he comes scoring right out the gate. They could get on a win streak and get right back in it. They're not down too much right now. It'd still be really hard for them to make it, but I definitely think they could by getting him. That's kind of a big, if recent history is what we're going off of, Evander Kane is going to be he's going to be a big help for their offense. He's definitely going to be like that third guy. And I think the type of role he plays as a bigger kind of power forward, I think that'd be perfect to play with, like on that first line with McDavid. And then that first line will be so great. They could definitely keep Draisaitl on the second line so that they have two scoring lines. I think that'll help them, their offense for sure. It's going to be crazy how many more goals they're going to score with adding him. But they're still going to be giving up. They're still going to be giving up plenty. They need to do something with goalie. They need to do something with defense. Just get some defensive guys in there. But yeah, we can move on to my last point here in storylines.
Oh my God, there's another.
Alex Tuch. Alex Tuch is back. I haven't been keeping up on my Buffalo Sabres news lately. They've just kind of been out of sight, out of mind for me. So I kind of have missed this whole big thing. Alex Tuch has been back for a couple weeks now. He's doing really well, and he's breathing some life into that team. They've ever since he has been playing, they've been playing a lot better as a team. So he's on the first line like I figured he would be. And I want a piece of whoever's playing on that top line right now. Looks like he's rejuvenating that offense. So, I think Jeff Skinner's on that top line, and ever since Tuch has been there, Jeff Skinner's kind of been doing a lot better. So Tuch's helping the team like I figured he would. He's just a good all-around player. He's not like a fantasy superstar guy, but I think Alex Tuch is the perfect guy for that young Buffalo team. So they're looking really good the last 2 weeks. I would be trying to go scoop up whoever is playing on that first line, and also trying to scoop up Tuch if you can.
Okay.
That's kind of a big storyline there. So that's all my storylines. We'll move on to injury news. I'm just going to fly through these. Not as much this week as there have been in other weeks. So that's kind of good. Not near as many COVID protocol. But we got Eli Tolvanen in COVID protocol. Pavel Buchnevich, JT Miller, Stav Forsling, John Carlson are the COVID protocol guys this week. And John Carlson, he's actually expected his game, but we'll see. That hasn't been officially announced yet. And then Bennett out lower body. Ty Smith injured reserve upper body. Joel Farabee IR upper body. Jason Zucker IR lower body. And then Dmitry Orlov was suspended 2 games for kneeing. It was one of those illegal knee-on-knee hits that he did on Nikolai Ehlers, and just completely fucked Ehlers up. That knee-on-knee hit, Ehlers, his knee bent completely the wrong way.
Oh.
They moved him to long-term injured reserve, which is just a brutal blow because he's one of their best players on Winnipeg. And it just sucks. And I don't know if it was intentional. Orlov is not really a guy that historically is like a dirty player. But, a knee-on-knee hit, those aren't allowed for, there's a reason those aren't allowed. Those can be career-ending hits.
Yeah, jeez.
So 2 games. So obviously the NHL doesn't think that, obviously there's no history in that, because if he had a history, he'd be suspended a lot longer than 2 games. So obviously I think he immediately was felt terrible about it. I don't think he was trying to knee-on-knee hit Ehlers, but it just happened. And just one of those fucking things in sports, injuries, and even bad injuries, they happen. But yeah, that did not look good. It's not really pretty. So if you're a little squeamish, don't even go try looking it up.
Yeah, I don't think I will.
Jamie Alexiak out illness. Kevin Hayes IR lower body. Jake Muzzin out with a concussion, and Andre Kasha out non-injury related. He didn't play Saturday, so we don't know what's going on there. He's been having a lot of that come up lately, just non-injury related a couple times every week the last few weeks. Wonder what's going on with him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all the injury news. All my injury news. What am I talking? All the injury news. So yeah, not near as much as there's been in the past. So kind of, hopefully that keeps up and we don't have a crap ton of injuries every week. And then we'll break into buy low trades here. Got a couple guys to talk about. So Braden Shen, he's a center on the St. Louis Blues. He's historically a great center and really good in fantasy. He's usually like, top 10, top 15 center in fantasy. Pretty good player, usually like a third or fourth round pick or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
Had a terrible start to the season this year. His numbers are slowly starting to climb up, and he's getting back to his usual stats, but it's a slow climb. This is your chance to still buy him cheap. I would get those offers in because he's starting to crawl back up to where people maybe won't want to trade him. So, or be asking for a lot more. So I think this week is definitely a chance for you to still send over a decent offer, but getting a guy that could finish very well for you and help you win a championship for sure. And then this one is probably the one I would suggest to do right now the most. Mitchell Marner having a very slow year this year. I mean, he's having a lot of crap, like missing games for COVID and then coming back, having a little injury, keep him out a couple games. He hasn't been able to consistently stay on the ice so far this season. He's been having a lot of little annoying stuff happen where that just little things like that can sometimes just tank a fantasy season because he's not able to get into the groove. He's not able to get into a rhythm or anything. Like he'll play a game here, game there, be missing games with little stuff, nothing serious, but it's just affecting his overall fantasy line. He's not near up to where he usually is. But there's no denying when he's when he's healthy and fully in his groove, he's one of the best players in the whole league. He's a great target right now, and you could even have a keeper with him by the end of the season if you can somehow get a trade for him. I mean, normally he's like an untradeable piece, right? You're still going to, even though his numbers are a little down, you're probably still going to have to give up a decent amount for him, but I think it would be totally worth it because he's a guy that could be one of your better players by the end of the season and into the fantasy playoffs. So I would be trying to trade for Mitchell Marner, absolutely. And then Nick Suzuki, I've mentioned him a few times in the past. I still like him, even though his numbers have been kind of stagnant lately. Pretty much they've been at the same exact place since I've been talking about him the last month. They haven't really increased too much, but they haven't gone down, which is good. I think he's one of the best players on Montreal, and I think he's the most likely to improve his fantasy numbers by the end of the season. I think he'll be a low-risk, high-reward trade right now. I don't think you have to give up too much for him, and I think he has decent upside as just being a young top guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then Taylor Hall. He had a very slow start to the season, but he's coming alive now. His numbers are starting to go up, and over the last couple of weeks, the team has been giving him a larger and larger role, giving him more ice time, moving around their lines, having him play with better players. And he's looking pretty good ever since they started doing that. Now's your time to still buy him low. Those numbers are starting to go up. Yeah, I think he's a very low risk, high reward guy right now. And then another guy that I've mentioned a bunch over the last few weeks, Cam Atkinson. He's looking like the most consistent player right now on Philly. He's just all around an awesome player to have on your fantasy hockey team. He does a little bit of everything, and he never gives you a game with no points. He's not flashy at all, and he usually doesn't put up big, crazy stat lines, but he's a super consistent guy. If whoever owns him right now doesn't recognize his kind of value in that way, you need to get an offer in and get him on your team. He's definitely a guy that you can just get on your team, and one of those guys you'll just never have to worry about, and you can just feel confidently about putting him in every game. So I would love to have Cam Atkinson on my team right now.
Okay.
And then sell high trades, kind of hard lately finding guys to sell high.
All right, let me just. My god!
What you got?
You know what? Go ahead. I have a couple things to say when you're done.
Okay.
Son of a bitch.
It's just kind of rough right now with sell highs. A lot of guys are performing how you expect them to perform. Not a lot of people kind of having shockingly great seasons where you think that it's just going to fall off. So I only got a couple to talk about here. I'm going to start with Chris Kreider, who at the beginning of the episode, he's still going off. He's having a great season, had a great week. I do love what he's doing, so don't get me wrong. I got him on sell high, but I think he is a good player. I just think it's a little unsustainable. He's already well over his career high in power play points. I think his career high over his career, he's been playing I think close to 10 years, maybe 8, 9, 10 years. He's already over his career high in power play points, I think, which was 14 or 16. And he's got 22 so far this season. And the season isn't even half over. So he's just having an insane year like he's never had. Mm-hmm. And his shooting percentage is just a little higher than his career average. It's not super alarming, but it is higher than his career average. So I think that's probably going to come down a little bit. And so with all of that, I just think you either keep him the rest of the season and he'll still be good for you, or you just try and trade him for maybe Mitch Marner or Mikko Rantanen right now. Definitely two younger, more consistent guys. I definitely think you could use Chris Kreider with how well he's doing to get one of those two guys for sure. And I would do that in a heartbeat, as much as Chris Kreider's doing so well. I just think you can get Mitch Marner or Mikko Rantanen, get yourself a keeper.
You can't get Mikko.
I think you could. You could use Chris Kreider or maybe somebody else. You could maybe swing a trade for Anton. I mean, Chris Kreider is doing great this year. It's not like...
Yeah, but Mikko, like you said, is a young star in the league, so he's definitely
I know.
Keeper.
Yeah, definitely. But, maybe the owner of Mikko Rantanen would rather have Devin Taves on his team, so... he doesn't. Maybe he won't care about losing Rantanen. He's got the best player in the league on his team, and Devin Taves already. So
it's higher average than Mikko, or the same actually. But yeah, Mikko's the better. Yeah.
Seamless transition into my next sell high trade. Devin Taves.
Dude, he's not even a sell high anymore. It's over.
Yeah, I'm definitely not.
3 months of consistency.
I'm definitely not beating a dead horse here.
And I couldn't even trade him. Listen, I have to tell you a lot.
At this point, I'm just waiting for Devin Taves to have one bad week, so then I can finally say that I was right.
Yeah, well, it wasn't this week. He got 25 points.
Yeah, I know. So, I saw him on
no big deal.
I saw him on my when I was checking out the scores this week. He's up there. I'm like, oh, okay.
No,
well.
I couldn't even sell high, dude. Nobody's people think like you. They don't believe.
Well, everybody in our league listens to our podcast, so
I don't know, maybe, but yeah, I can't even trade him. So you just got to ride him.
I mean, that's not a terrible option. I'm not.
But he's tied for my highest defenseman average, and I have fucking Adam Fox on my team.
Yeah, who also went off this week.
He's tied with him, but yeah. And then I just wanted you to listen to this trade, dude. This guy in our league tries to buy low on Poink, and anyway, we're bartering. We don't do the first trade where he offered this forward for Pionk, and then I just send him the original trade after we go back and forth for a couple of days, and nothing happens.
So is he trading for Pionk or is he trading for Poink? There's a big difference.
Poink. Oh, he's Pionk right now because he's not going off. But
more like
Poink.
More like Puonk.
But anyway, grade this trade who would win, John Tavares or Pionk, in a league with obviously defensive stats increased.
Yeah, well, Pionk has the history of being the guy you'd want over Tavares, and just the way our league is, Pionk is the last 3 seasons in our leagues has been a top 5 defenseman. So,
but his average is lower now than Tavares, who's a forward. So who wins that trade?
I honestly think depends. I mean, I know that you're really good on defensive depth, Jake, and Tavares is a really good player. I mean, Tavares is keeper level. He's a guy you could think about for key. He's a very, very good player. So that's not an awful trade, honestly.
So who would win though? It's not going to happen, so it doesn't matter. You could just say.
Yeah. Okay. Who would win? I would still say that I personally would rather have Pionk because it's not easy to find top defensemen. And he's just in a little bit of a slump right now, but he'll come out of it. He's a great defenseman, so I would rather have Pionk.
Yeah, you hear that, Eric? Huh?
But it's not a terrible trade.
Yeah,
Tavares,
but
it's
I
not
think
like
that's why I wouldn't take him because the slump looks so bad.
he's not trying to swindle you, but yeah.
Yeah, he's just on a bad, very bad.
And just Tavares is just a lot older. He's still very good, but there's a lot. I think Pionk is a guy you worry about injuries and stuff with a little bit
Did
less.
Pionk have COVID for 3 games or whatever? Did he have COVID? Why was he out? Because ever since he came back from like a 3-game absence, that's when he's been bad.
Mm-hmm. Maybe he did. I honestly can't remember.
He's still playing his heavy minutes. I don't know.
I mean, he got the ice time up. He's going to break out of that.
I also offered him, for the same guy, I offered him Seider, and who's like a future keeper, and like a lower tier defenseman. So I offered him 2 defensemen. I think it was Seider and Eric Johnson. Or
Okay.
no, it was Seider and Periaco, Colton.
Parayko.
Yeah, so like 2 pretty good. I mean, Seider's better, but
Yeah.
3.9 and 3.1 average for the 4.1 average.
Mm-hmm. That's not a terrible trade.
But he didn't like that either. So
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. No, getting trades in is hard for sure. I mean, it's hard for both sides to always agree. Everyone in a trade always thinks that they're getting the short end of the stick. Usually, it's just how we view looking at our teams. Even though the trades are probably not going to be awful, that trade Tavares for Pionk would not be awful for either of you guys. I don't think it would screw anyone. I think it would be your teams would overall still be performing about the same level.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just if you really like having Pionk on your team, then don't trade him. But adding Tavares,
No, I offered it, bro. He denied it.
Okay.
So I was willing, even though
he denied it. He denied that one. Okay, I thought you said he sent that one to you.
Well, that was his original. Like we were talking, that was his original. Like, hey, would you do this?
Mm-hmm.
And then we started going back and forth, and then I just sent the original
offering.
Discussion.
He denied it.
Yeah. But
nice.
Anyway.
Yeah.
We can go to scoops.
Yeah, we'll move on to scoop him up here. So first scoop, Mike Matheson. He had a great week. We talked about him in surprises of the week where he just looked really good for Pittsburgh. He's probably not going to keep it up, but he's definitely worth a stream right now. He's just scoring a bunch of points, so just get him in as long as he's doing that.
Yeah.
And then also Brock Nelson. He's available in 32% of leagues, or 28% of leagues. He's a good goal scorer. See if he's available. The Islanders aren't scoring a lot of goals right now, but Brock Nelson, I think, is their leading goal scorer. He's doing decent, having a pretty good year. Just go see if he's available. He's usually a little higher owned. And then Noah Hannafin, defenseman on Calgary, just had a good game. If you're out there looking for D, he could be a nice streaming option. I know Jake's usually looking for D.
Yeah. Just being a hockey fan, that's what they do, right?
Yeah. Right.
So you guys do? Okay.
And then Alex Kerfoot. He's looked pretty good the last few weeks. He's a sneaky grab right now, and he's widely available. He's a forward on Toronto. If you look over his last 2-3 weeks, performing pretty well. I mean, he's putting up numbers that you'd be happy with, and he's just not really high owned. Very low risk ad. You could just drop him at any time. I mean, hopefully you don't have to don't drop anything crazy for him, but pick him up for a streaming option. Just see how long it lasts.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple goalies. Pavel Francouz, looking like a great backup goalie, getting about half of the starts right now.
You already grabbed him?
I did not. Definitely worth a stream on nights he starts, or a pickup if it is a 50-50 split. Francouz has a lot of upside, and he's looking very good over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then kind of a lower level goalie to kind of just watch. He could be over the next couple of weeks more of an ad. Peter Marazzic. I'd be going and putting him on your watch lists right now. I wouldn't be picking him up yet. I'd want to see a little more performance from him, but
Yeah.
he looked very good in his last game. It was either last night or the night before, whenever he started. Looked like he's fully healthy. You know, shooting across the crease, pretty quick. You know, able to get the body moving. Not looking like he's feeling any effects from his groin injury. Looks like he's able to do all the moves and everything. Like he looks like what you'd expect Marazzic to look like when he's fully healthy and playing at his best level. So just by seeing all that, if he's feeling good, right now, they may use him a little more because, with Marazzic being hurt, like Marazzic was going to be their backup. But then when he got hurt and missed a crap ton of time, they were riding Jack Campbell like a freaking, they were just riding him like a stallion. Like they were just,
Wow, recovered well there.
They had no other choice though. I mean, they didn't really have another goalie. They had to give Campbell like every start almost, hardly able to ever give him any rest. And so I think that if Mrazic's like fully healthy and hasn't really played that much this season, they might give him a little more starts and give Campbell a little bit of rest to rest up for the playoffs. So I think Marazzic in the future, in the next couple of weeks, if everything goes like I think it could, he could be worth more of a pickup and scoop. But right now, just put him on your watch list and be watching for those signs like I was talking about, like him getting more starts over a few week period to give Campbell some rest. He'd definitely be worth a pickup on one of the better teams in the league.
I got a very important ask.
Okay.
This goalie, Sam Montembolt on Montreal.
Yeah.
Is he worth a grab? It looks like he's the starter.
He's out right now. But yeah, he's looking really good.
Yeah, like what
he's not available Saturday against Colorado. He didn't play yesterday.
Okay.
So we got the 25-year-old's injury is considered minor, so he could be back between the pipes Monday against the Wild.
So is he the official starter, or is he just filling in?
No, he is the starter. That's what the team is saying. He's the starter. So because Carey Price is on IR and Jake Allen's on IR, so for the time being, Montembolt is the guy. He just had 2 48-49 save games. Wow. He looks like really good. I'd definitely be picking him up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is he like a must add, or?
I think he is a must add right now with the way, if you look over his last like 2 weeks, he's that's high level goalie play for sure. Him and Francouz might be my 2 biggest goalie guys at this point.
Okay. All right, just grabbed him.
All right, again, nice work. Anybody else you're thinking about, Jake?
Yeah, I was looking at just the, how it shows across all leagues, like who's grabbing.
Yeah.
Like if it's going up, I wanted to ask you about Anton Lindell on the Florida Panthers.
Yep.
Why are people grabbing him?
Yeah, so he's up 5%. I think people are grabbing him because he is moving up to get more ice time right now because Sam Bennett just went on IR. So I think Anton Lindell was bumped up a line.
Okay.
So yeah, obviously, Sam Bennett went out, and then all of a sudden you can see a 5-minute increase in Lundell's ice time.
Okay.
So yeah, and he's actually performed pretty damn well over the last month. I mean, geez. Not a lot of multi-point games, but a lot of consistently just getting, consistently hitting up the score sheet. Wow. Yeah, he might be a sneaky grab right now, getting more ice time.
Okay, and then another important one that, we were a big fan of, and he's doing real good, actually. Alexander Romanov, the defenseman, he's only 3% owned, but 3.1 average in our league.
Yeah.
And he's up to 18 minutes, and he had a 22-minute game recently.
Mm-hmm.
I feel
Now,
like
what I
he
want to
could be a
see,
grab.
they were playing him on the first line, but ever since then, he was on that first line, and it looks like his ice time has dropped by 2 minutes every game since. So I'm
Okay.
actually going to go take a quick look at Montreal's lines right now.
Okay.
Um, the Canadians, where the hell are they? There they are. I'm going to take a quick look at their lines, see if, okay, so they still have Romanov right now on, they have him back to the third pairing. So I think the experiment of giving him more ice time might be over, and he is
Mm-hmm.
no longer on the power play. So looks like they did it last week, just a 1 week thing, giving him more ice time for whatever reason, and now they dropped him back down. I would definitely be putting him on your watch list, though. I mean, he's a guy that if he is, you can be checking on dailyfaceoff.com. You can always look at the projected lines for the day, and they're usually pretty accurate. They do a good job over there on that website of finding out what the lines are going to look like. I think they keep up out over on Daily Faceoff. The people that work there, they keep up with
Mm-hmm.
watching every team's practice, so they can see what the practice lines look like, and then they update their website, and it's like 95% accurate, if not more. So that's a great place to look if you are looking for a streaming option like that and seeing if he's projected to get a little bit better of a pairing, be on a little bit better of a line. And then you could figure out, okay, he's worth a stream tonight or something like that. So that's a great
Okay.
tool to use for fantasy.
Okay.
So right now, I would say don't maybe pick up Romanov just because of that. He was playing 20. He was getting 22 minutes of ice time last week, and now he's down to 13. That's almost a 10-minute drop. So
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be picking that up right now. He was a stream last week, and then I think that's already over. But just put him on your watch list and wait for when they do that, because Montreal does stuff like that all the time where they give a guy 25 minutes randomly and then they drop him back down. So just be watching that. Romanov is always a good streaming option when he's going to get more time.
Mm-hmm. All right.
All right.
Well, yeah, there's a couple more guys, but they're not that great. Like, I think they're banger league players. That's why they're low owned. Like Ryan Getzlaf
Well,
is
Getzlaf,
he's only 31% owned. He's being dropped in ESPN leagues, but he has a 3.3 average, which
yeah.
is
So
like
I'm
something
gonna
you
look.
look for. I don't get why
Yeah, I want to look more into that.
I'm guessing he hits, and that's why he's not.
He does hit. He's a good defensive guy. He's that type of center that
It's got to
um,
be it. That's why
he
most
hasn't
leagues
been
don't have
doing
him.
great. Hasn't been doing great over the last few weeks. I could definitely see why people are dropping him. He's not really scoring like he was at the beginning of the season. Still getting
Yeah,
good
but
ice time.
3.3 average is hard to come by.
Yeah,
You're
but
like the
if
bottom of your bench.
over the last month, that average is like 2. So
Yeah, but he's still getting at least 2 points a night. I'm sure that's if this is his bottom, then his floor, then I'm sure he could have a good get back to more of a ceiling level. I don't know
okay,
if he's getting
yeah. I
still getting
mean,
2 points a night.
if you want to take a look at Getzlaf, he is available in about 32% of leagues, like Jake said. He could be a sneaky ad. He was one of the best players in the league for the first month of the season, so he definitely has some upside to him. He's just, people are having a quick hook looking for
Yeah.
guys right now. He's not scoring, so
Mm-hmm.
um, he could be a guy that you could benefit from if he's about to go on a streak. So just look at that.
Okay.
Anybody else you're thinking about before we move on to the schedule?
No, go ahead.
All right, so this week, very heavy week. A lot of games being played. There is not the normal Tuesday, Thursday down week, down days. This week, those would be considered Wednesday and Friday. There are only 5 games is still a decent amount of games, so it's not really like an off night. But those
Mm-hmm.
are the 2 days this week with the lowest games being played. So you could maybe get an extra guy in on one of those days and get an extra streaming guy in. So
Mm-hmm.
we got Anaheim playing on Wednesday or Wednesday, Friday. We got Boston Bruins, the Blackhawks, the Avalanche, Detroit Red Wings, and the Washington Capitals playing on both Wednesday and Friday. So if you pick up a streaming guy from one of those 5 teams, you can get 2 extra starts maybe, for your fantasy roster. So pick up a couple extra guys for streaming. So that would be maybe a good time to pick up Francouz. Maybe they'll give him a start or two. Colorado. But yeah, you can just look at that. Maybe this would be a good week to trade for Taylor Hall, get him for those off nights. So yeah, just be taking a look at that. Wednesday, Friday are like this week's off night, even though it's still 5 games, which is not crazy. Normally an off night is considered like only 2 or 3 games being played, but this is a pretty heavy week, so there's a lot of opportunity for streaming options.
Oh yeah, so is this one of the first weeks of replacement games?
No, so that's going to start on February 7th, and it's going to run through the rest
so
from
that'd
February.
Be like you could stream every day, or you won't even have room to stream.
Yeah, so we got to see.
Full lineups.
I'm sure ESPN is going to be on top of it. I mean, they originally had that period of time, February 7th through the 22nd, basically all of February, blocked off as just a month-long bye. They're probably gonna have to go in and I'm sure they're gonna go in and change it to like weekly matchups, or they're just gonna make it 1 month long matchup. So you're gonna have 1 4-week matchup. I don't know what they're gonna do, but that would be crazy. We're gonna see we could see super high scoring because it's a whole month of a matchup. So I don't know if ESPN's gonna do that. That would probably be the easiest thing for them to do. But they're either going to do that month-long matchup, or they're going to break it up into individual weeks and make it part of the schedule now. So we just got to see what ESPN does. They're usually, out of all the leagues, they're usually the one that makes those changes a little quicker. We'll see if ESPN gets on that, and just be looking for that. And we got a couple weeks until that starts, so we'll see what they do.
All right, hell yeah.
All right, so with that, everyone, thank you for listening, and go find us on our social media. We got facebook.com/Garden of Sports podcast. We got instagram.com/Garden of Sports, and we got twitter.com/GOSpod2021. So go find us on all those, and obviously like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, and we're going to keep growing our community. And just thanks for tuning in, everybody. We hope that you enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.